What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so this is the situation we have right here. We have a big event going on today. We have an enhanced risk of severe weather for Oklahoma and Texas, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're going to go ahead and cover all of that. First, let's go ahead and talk about the tornado risk, because from yesterday, they did up the tornado risk from a 5% to a 10% just east of Dallas in parts of rural Texas and rural Oklahoma right there, and we'll explain why in just a second. But the wind risk is still at 30% for the DFW area, as well as parts of rural Oklahoma, rural Texas, parts of Arkansas, and the hail risk is still 30% hatched right here. That's where the majority of the biggest cape is going to be, and we're going to go ahead and cover all of this. Let's go ahead and read the summary for you real quickly. Scattered severe thunderstorms are possible across parts of the southern Great Plains this afternoon and evening, particularly across parts of north central and northeastern Texas into southern Oklahoma, where storms may initially be accompanied by a risk of very large hail and a few tornadoes. And just one more thing I forgot to mention, this 30% hatched risk of hail, that means there is a 30% risk of 2-inch greater or greater hail rather than happening within 25 miles of a point. Please excuse me for fumbling for a second. So with that being said, and now that you have all this, let's go ahead and show you what's going on with the models right here. This is the most unstable cape we have according to the HRRR. And as you can see, by around, this is 5 o'clock Central Time. As you can see, the cape is cracking 3,000 in a lot of these areas, which I did not even expect this to get this big at this point. This is the 12Z HRRR right here, and we're looking at this. We were looking at cape values approaching 2,500 yesterday. Now we're cracking 3,000, which is going to be really good for hail if you think about it. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of shear with all of this right here. There's about 60 knots of shear in parts of Texas, Oklahoma. If we take a look at the RAT model around that similar time frame, if you take a look at that, which is pretty interesting, honestly, we're looking at this. We're at 2,800 joules per kilogram, 61 knots of shear right there. Parts of the DFW area, it's around 50 to 60. And I'm going to actually pull up a couple of soundings from this one, actually. This was taken in southern Oklahoma right here. This is an estimated sampling in southern Oklahoma. You can see that cape is right there. The surface cape is around 2,500 joules per kilogram. You can see that the lapse rate's at 7.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer, which is rather impressive for this. Typically, if you want to see a severe weather outbreak, the minimum, in my opinion, you need is around like 6 or so. 7.5 is not that bad, honestly. But the thing is, though, there's no cap with this, which means that we could see some severe weather that starts just popping off all over the place. And we have seen a couple of close calls lately. As we've seen this morning, we've seen some special weather statements with some storms that have popped off. But so far, no severe thunderstorm warnings or anything along those lines. And we'll go and we'll talk about that in just a second. But this is the shear right here from surface to 1 kilometer, which is what you will need. Generally, the most important for tornadoes. It's around 20 knots. 40 knots from surface to 3 kilometer, which is rather impressive. The SRH is 136. The surface to 6 kilometers, 59 knots in this part, which is actually really good if you want supercell development right there. And now the next one was actually taken in the DFW area. And take a look at this. And first of all, the big idea is the potential hazard type. PDS tornado right here. I'm not kidding when I say this. This is the hazard type we're looking at right here. And now why they have it? Well, first of all, the cape's at 2,700 joules per kilogram, and the SRH is cracking 200 in a lot of these things right here, which is rather good if you want tornado development. The shear could be more impressive at 0 to 1. It's about 22 knots. As I'm looking at this, it is 36 knots from surface to 3 kilometer, which is good as well. 63 knots from surface to 6 kilometer, which is going to be really good if you want supercell development. And the directional shear is a lot more impressive than it was in Oklahoma. As you can see, the directional shear, there's a lot of speed shear, but there's really no directional shear. So you could see a supercell develop, but I don't think tornadoes are going to be the main threat in this part. But in the DFW area, that speed shear is now directional shear right there, and you can see that's pretty impressive if you think about it. Normally, you'd want to see directional shear around 45 to 60 degrees apart from each other. It's around 45, 50 degrees apart from each other. So that's going to be rather critical for what's going to happen. We're going to go ahead and show you what's going on with the precipitation. We're going to go ahead and show you the simulated reflectivity with this. This is according to the HER, and as you can see, we will start to see storms popping off pretty soon. This is what we got. We'll have storms popping off in parts of Oklahoma first, and then we could start seeing supercells in parts of Texas right there before it merges into a quasi-linear convective system right there, or QLCS, which is basically a line of severe thunderstorms. The main threat with this is mostly wind damage and hail, and this continues all the way down to the Gulf Coast right there, which is rather interesting. In fact, they have a day 2 risk issued for that part of it right there, from Louisiana all the way to the Florida Panhandle, including Tallahassee. So that's going to be interesting to take a look at. But I would not rule out quite a few supercells in parts of southern Oklahoma, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we are actually, in conjunction with Storms United, going to be streaming at 3 p.m. Central Time to keep you guys updated on the severe weather. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps me out and helps me make more videos like these. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. But with that being said, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.